Now, Paolo Gabrielli says he was acting as an agent of the Holy Spirit when he leaked Vatican documents to journalists. He claims he wanted to expose evil and corruption within the church, but now he finds himself in court. I'm joined now by Jack Valero from the internet forum Catholic Voices. Very good evening to you, Mr. Valero. The Vatican has never held a trial on this kind of scale and of this kind of intense media interest. What do you make of it? How significant is it?
Well, it's never held it before, but I'm actually very happy of the openness and transparency. They've called 8 journalists to be there all the time, 4 fixed from AP and Reuters and a French and an Italian agency, and 4 others on rotation, so that the world media could be informed of all the things that were going on. And more than corruption, I think the documents that Gabriele stole, and he seems to be a sort of fragile individual, slightly narcissistic, thinking he's very important. He wants to do this slightly strange act that he has done, and quite serious. The more than corruption, what is exposed is tensions and rivalries within the Vatican, which, in a way, it's good that these things come up and they can be reformed. The Church is always very keen on reforming itself. So I think the media are very interested in this case. They're there. Things may come up, and this will be good for the Church to look at and see how it can be reformed. Of course, the Pope is very sad that personal things from his desk have been stolen, and he may pardon him in the end. But I think he feels it's important that justice is done and justice is seen to be done.
Well, Paolo Gabrielli has put an awful lot on the line to expose what he believes is the truth behind what's going on at the Vatican and the secrecy and the corruption. He will effectively lose his job, I'm sure, now, whatever happens. Sure. The Pope could have forgiven him and not seen a trial here. So for Paolo Gabrielli, he feels it's vital that this comes out. Do you believe the truth will now out? Because I believe it's the Pope who gets to look at the truth behind these allegations, and that won't be made public.
Well, if the Pope had wanted it not to be public and to cover it up, he wouldn't have allowed the trial. He would. But
the trial is about the theft of these documents. It's not actually about what's in the documents.
No, but the documents are already been published in a book by Nizzi, by this journalist, and people have read the documents. And really, if you read the documents, it's not so much corruption, but there is these rivalries, these factions, this unedifying spectacle of the Church is a spiritual institution, but it's also a human institution with people who make this kind of mistakes. And when these are exposed, it's not very nice, as it happens in any human institution. And this may lead to reform. But I think the Pope has wanted the trial to take place with openness and transparency, because he doesn't want anything to be hidden. He could have forgiven the man and said, we don't need a trial, and then nobody would have known the truth behind this. I think it's really interesting that the trial is going ahead, and we can face the truth, and we're happy to face the truth.
You use the words may lead to reform. It's interesting you choose that word. Are you confident it will, and does it need to?
Well, it may need to, in terms of the human on the people that are involved in the management of the Church. And when things are exposed, in the past, the Church has always reformed itself. There were problems hundreds of years ago when Luther came along and said, there are many problems. He left the Church, but the Church itself got reformed.
It takes a long time, though, doesn't it, for change to happen within the Church?
Well, it used to take a long time, but now in this age of rapid change, I think change can take place quite quickly. And as I say, it's really interesting that this is happening in the public domain, because, in British courts, you don't have audio feeds or video feeds, and it's not so public.
Which we don't have at this Vatican
We don't
trial.
have here either, but we do have a very public way of involving journalists and the media. And, because it's an important thing. The Catholic Church is important, and it's good that it keeps reforming itself.
OK, Jack Valero, fascinating. Thank you. We'll see what happens in the coming days and weeks.
Yes.
Thank you.